All right, good morning, everyone. So I'm going to start today by reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of service, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but the same God who empowers them all and everyone. To each is given a manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. For to one is given through the Spirit of the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another the ability to distinguish between spirits, to other various kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues, and these are empowered by the one and the same Spirit, who apportions to each one individually as he wills. For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the same body, though many are one body, so it is with Christ. So for a lot of years, I used that verse to justify kind of staying in the background, not being up here to be the person who is willing to testify about their faith. And so for me, that changed back in 2023 when, for a long time, I had put off being baptized. And part of the reason that I had done that was I was scared to stand up in front of people to give that testimony in front of them. And so I just kind of pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off for a long time. But finally, I decided I was going to do it. And it forced me to actually write a testimony and stand up in front of people. Quite naturally, I was very nervous doing in front of it. This was at Open Arms. But through the grace of God, I was able to write out that testimony and give it without an issue. As I was doing that, it felt like something was awakened in me, that I couldn't just be sitting back and being comfortable in my faith anymore, that it was time to start putting myself out there, challenging myself in my faith. When Fireside was first proposed, it felt like God was speaking to me saying, you need to go be a part of that family. That's the next step in the progression of you being out there in faith. When we started to meet at Fireside, Pastor Josh asked me to give one of those first stories of hope. And I took that as another challenge, again, to push myself in faith. Similar to baptism, I was very nervous about that process, even though it was a much smaller group of people and not standing up on a stage. It was down on the floor. But it was, again, another one of those opportunities to put myself out there in faith. A few months later, I gave another story of hope. But the real challenge came in this past September, when Pastor Josh and Will asked me to come up here and give a message in front of everyone. For anybody that knew me before that, that was I don't think anyone who knew me well before that would say, that's something that Ryan really can do. That would have been something 18 months ago would have terrified me to do. But I said again, it was a real step for me as I was having a lot, and before doing that, I felt like that was a real step up for me because I felt like inadequate to be up here standing giving the message, right? Is that we hear really good messages every week from our pastors, and how could I even come and match anything that they're doing? So I had to fight, in that process, I had to fight through the feelings of inadequacy and fearing saying the wrong things to people. Through lots of praying and working with Pastor Josh, I was able to stand up here and deliver a message and not fall on my face doing so, which I thought it was pretty good for the first time. And I'll just say that the opportunity to do this, to stand up here, to be able to testify about my faith is a real strength of God's grace and God's providence, that he would give me the strength to do that and to get out of my comfort zone and push my faith to really growing and not just being comfortable in what it has been in the past. So I would say is to everyone else is if you're feeling like that's the case, look for those ways to really push yourself in faith going forward.